The Seahawks offense poses many challenges for the Texans, but could a tweak in the game plan give Houston an added edge to pull out the victory on Monday Night Football?
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Better Red Nation, from H-Town to your town, today's episode and every episode of the Locked On Texans podcast is for Texan fans all around, from my everydayers from the Himalayas and newcomers of the show. Thank you for making Locked On Texans your first listen of the day, and for coming back, or if your first time listening to myself, your Texans credential media member and football analyst. Also, you can find my work over on 4Times John Hickman. Fun show today because the show is full of theory. This is a theory show. I'm going to use some numbers to create theories on how the Houston Texans can pull out a victory on Monday night. I don't have the Houston Texans winning right now, but if they do, in theory, a lot changes for this franchise. But what cannot happen, what absolutely cannot happen, or what can't consistently happen on Monday when they take on Seattle in Lumen Stadium, home of the 12th man. Also, stopping the run plus stopping the play action should be one of the defense's number one concerns, and why stopping the run leads to the offense for Seattle possibly saying, you know what, the play action is not working. But ultimately, we kick off today's episode just looking at how can the defense overcome the Hawks offense. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Guys, I said it on Tuesday's show. I'm going to say it again. This Seattle Seahawks offense is everything a head coach would want out of an offense. They have only allowed one sack on third down this year. They are an extremely good red zone offense, converting at an 85% rate, and that's combining both touchdowns and field goals. This offense is also averaging nearly 28 points per game, 356 yards per game, and also an extremely efficient first down offense. 5 first downs per game come from first down throws. 7 of the 9 passing touchdowns come from first down throws. 15.4 passing yards per completion on first down, also 70% completion percentage, all on first down. This isn't a show where I want to, quote-unquote, glaze the Seattle Seahawks, but this is a show where, in theory, I'm going to look at some numbers to see how Houston can beat a very good, efficient offense at every level. They create the explosive plays, right? They are efficient on all downs. So how can Houston possibly pull out a dub? When I look at the game plan for Houston, does it make more sense for Houston to blitz a little more on earlier downs? Now, Houston blitzes around 29% of the time. Seattle has faced the blitz on 30% of their dropbacks. That number skyrockets on third down, but only 28% and 24% on first and second down. Now look at these numbers. 3 sacks on each first and second down, but only 1 on third down. I just mentioned they only allow 1 sack on third down through 6 games. I mean, that's remarkable. That is remarkable. Sam Darnold against the blitz has thrown 3 interceptions with a 59 completion percentage on the year. And so I wonder, first and foremost, what will the game plan be for guarding JNS, Jackson Smith, and Njigba, if Houston can contain them, which that's the best you can ask for. You can't hope to really shut them down. Great players you don't shut down, you contain, right? And then the rest of the secondary group, they have an advantage, which I think allows for Houston to be more aggressive up front. Does Houston travel Stingley? How has he recovered with the bye week? Has his body healed a little bit more? Will Houston opt to maybe double him with Kamari Lassiter with a safety over the top? I think that is key. Plus, another small detail, but a big role is Calen Bullock in this game against Seattle, and really the entire safety group. And the Houston Texans need for them to play discipline to limit those explosive plays, where Seattle has created 30 plays of 20 or more yards on the season. But for me, guys, it is absolutely for Houston to create as much pressure they possibly can. And I'm going to look at Jalen Petrie, who's also somewhat a part of their secondary group, playing nickel. We know that he plays a lot around the line of scrimmage, how impactful he can be for this game for the Houston Texans when sending 5 or more players, because for Houston to have a shot, right, we'll get into stopping the run and how that could eventually lead to, completely kind of taking away the play action game. But Derek Stingley is going to have to be amazing in this game. Kamari Lassiter is going to have to be amazing in this game. The back 4 or 5 of this defense is going to have to be amazing in this game, because if they are not, can you trust the Houston Texans to send 5 or more? The last thing you want is for Sam Darnold, who again has been playing some very good football. The last thing you want is for Sam Darnold to sit back and pick apart your defense. That's the last thing you want. And the numbers on Sam Darnold when he's kept clean this year, you look at 80% completion percentage, over 1,100 yards, 7 TDs, 1 interception, 10.6 yards per attempt. I mean, he's getting it done, and he's also getting it done by also getting rid of the ball. When kept clean, he's getting that ball out within 2.28 seconds with 53 first downs and a passer rating of 129. What is the game plan to stop that? And again, I gave you guys the first down numbers where this offense is extremely efficient, but they don't face the blitz a lot on first and second down. That number for Seattle, again, it skyrockets to nearly 38% blitzes faced on third down. Houston is in a position right now where the stars have to come out and play. The stars have to be the better players each down, each drive, each quarter, each half, in order for them to get an opportunity to pull this thing out. And I'm also going to add to this, just looking at Houston's ability to create that pressure. Danielle Hunter got an extension. He made a lot of money. He's going to make a lot of money for the Houston Texans. He's going to have to absolutely be dominating up front. So will Will Anderson, and we'll get a little bit more into that. But the linebackers are going to really have to be disciplined, because with Sam Darnold wanting to get that ball out quickly, being in their spots, I think is going to be extremely important for them to create some type of additional pressure. The pressure may not necessarily be in his face, but the pressure being in those passing lanes. Azeez has been, I think, really good at that. Henry T has improved in that area. Do we see more of EJ Speed because of his quickness? But this is a game for the Houston Texans where the back of that defense is going to have to complement the front of the defense just as much as vice versa and the other way around. If they can contain JNS and kind of make it to where Seattle has to trust Cooper Kupp to beat them, I think that bodes well for the Houston Texans' favor Monday night. Now, we're looking at some of the holes in Seattle's approach. A disciplined Texans team could eliminate an already weak rushing attack and limit those play action plays. So when we come back, we got more Locked On Texans talk on the opposite side. Stick around. This is the Theory Show for Houston. Before diving into theory, I want to let you guys know what is real, right? And what's real is this NFL season. The most parity we've seen in a very long time in this season for the NFL. And with that parity brings each and every week some different type of excitement, up and down scores, up and down offenses, defenses, creating chaos. And you don't want to miss any of that action. No, you don't. And with FanDuel, you do not have to miss any of that action, because right now new customers can bet just $5 and you'll get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel gives you so many different ways to play, different ways to build parlays, player props, or even if you just want to follow the live lines during the games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you got a little something extra riding on the action. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Plus, I want you guys to hear from our other sponsor, Peloton.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Welcome back, Texan fans. Continuing with the conversation surrounding how Houston can pull out this victory again against a very good Seattle team. I want you guys to hear from DeMeco Ryans on the success the play action has opened up for Seattle this year.
And for Seattle, they're good at the play action pass game because Kubiak's done a good job wherever he's been as a play caller. He's done a really good job of establishing the outside zone scheme, right? And with the outside zone scheme comes the keepers off of the outside zone action. So he's done a really good job of marrying both run game and passing game, meaning they both look very similar. So the play action pass game works because of the offensive line and how they come off the football, right? How they make the run look exactly like the pass. It puts the second level defenders in a bind where are you stepping up to defend the run, or can you key it and diagnose it quick enough to understand that it's pass and now I need to drop in coverage. So they've done a really good job starting with Kenneth Walker in the run game. He's a really, really good running back in this league, and he's done a really nice job. And when you have him running the ball the way he runs it, right, guys are going to commit. And once you get guys to step up 2 or 3 steps off, and now Darnold's done a good job of getting on the edges, making good decisions down the field, and he's had a lot of guys open in those play-action passing concepts. That's why they've been successful as well. A lot of guys are wide open.
Knowing DeMeco Ryans, I know he's preaching execution and discipline this week, and I'm sure for last week, maybe he's sending it through text messages, but being disciplined and executing is going to be a true focus for this Texans defense. And you just mentioned about the second level guys being compromised. Do you step up? Do you step back? How do you go about defending a play action team? A team that runs the play action very well. So you talk about the defensive line and the linebacker unit helping each other out. Like I look at the D line, be aggressive enough, up front, but play your gap lanes to where you don't cause the linebackers to be compromised a lot, right? There are going to be moments where they bite, but if they bite, who's in the lane to create a play up front? The D tackles, I gave those guys a shout out this week. They're going to be very important for this game plan. I don't think nobody's going to be more important to this game plan than Will Anderson, who I think is by far the best combination of run defender, pass, sack go-getter, quarterback go-getter on this team. So that front four is going to have to help out Azeez, Henry T, EJ Speed, and also Jalen Petrie, who plays around the line of scrimmage. That's going to be important. Please do not get out of your lane. Please be where you are, because you look at what Kubiak does in Seattle, kind of favors a little bit what Sean McVay does in LA. And so when I look at the Houston Texans versus the play action on the year, Stafford hurt them. 9 for 9, 90 yards, 1 TD, 1 sack on there. But you look at the similarities of the run schemes and how they use the run and set the play action from LA and what Kubiak does for Seattle. Now, the rest of the season, Baker Mayfield, 2 of 3, 22 yards. Trevor Lawrence, 2 of 10, 17 yards. Cam Ward, he's having a rookie year that's pretty bad. 2 of 4, 32 yards, 1 sack. Cooper Rush, 4 of 7, 66 yards, 2 picks. Like, nobody else has been able to really hurt the Houston Texans on play actions this year like the LA Rams have. And so when you look at what the message is going to be, of course, being disciplined, executing, being in your spots, but also in the film room, guys, look at some of the things that Matthew Stafford did when he got out on the edge, right? Did we play it a little bit too aggressive from our linebacker unit? And were guys able to get behind us? Okay, how can we clean that up? Did our D-line not go a little bit as hard as they can to kind of create that disruption? Hey, the D-line's job when they look at those play actions and really throughout the entire game is, hey, how can you force that offensive line back? Right? You force that offensive line back, you push them back, right? You're not allowing them to get to their outside zone to sell the play action. You're forcing them and you're hitting them, and you're causing disruptions on that, on those plays. Now that allows for the pressure to really sit in the pocket of Sam Darnold. And again, like you get to that pressure, if Houston is able to create that pressure on 4 runs, not 4 runs, but on 4 players up front, and you push that offensive line back in the face of Sam Darnold, then that allows for your linebackers and DBs to kind of be where they need to be without having to come down and shoot. Now you got 4 guys defending an offense instead of you have 5 guys in the DB room and the linebacker room defending instead of maybe you have 4 because you're sending an extra blitzer. And I still think Houston needs to look at blitzing a little bit early on first and second down, but it's all about being where you need to be at the second level and the third level. And for the first level, that D-line unit, hey, you got to punch these guys in the mouth. You have to. You have to, because if you do that, then you look at a rattled Sam Darnold. And I'm calling upon everybody, really. Every day I'm pretty sure I'm calling upon somebody differently. But, Aziz is going to have a stellar game, man. Do not let anybody get behind you. Jalen Petrie, do not let anybody get behind you on any of those play actions. And Houston could have a very successful day where they could limit some of those explosive plays because Sam Darnold ain't got no time. Or he's maybe running around trying to avoid one play on the sack. And when he moves around in the pocket, you got another D lineman right in his face. So that's important. And I also want to look at on the year just to give you guys some play action numbers from Sam Darnold, who's been deadly. 27 of 41, 622 yards, 15.2 yards per attempt, and also only sacked 4 times. And the Seattle Seahawks run a lot of 11 and 12 personnel. And so when they get into those 12 personnels, okay, is Elijah Arroyo, is A.J. Barnett, are those guys going to be looked at as some of those players that can get out on the edge and maybe Sam Darnold can dump it off to? If so, then now the ball's in front of Houston. Now you look at the Jalen Petries of the world. You look at the MJ Stewarts of the world. You look at those linebackers and really E.J. Speed, who I think is underrated for Houston in his small role. You look at those guys having opportunity to just crash down and make a play in open field. Houston cannot afford any missed tackles, and Houston cannot afford any yak yards. But also he mentioned how the Seattle Seahawks have been really, really utilizing the running backs. Seattle has kind of been rolling with Charbonnet a little bit more over Walker the last couple of games in terms of snap opportunities. That has led to some Seahawks fans being a little bit pissed off and upset and confused. But when Kenneth Walker is on the field, the top 2 running back in the NFL in explosive rush percentage and with 9%, when Zach Charbonnet is on the field, bottom 5 in explosive rush percent in the NFL with 1.7. And on the year, you look at Charbonnet's yards per attempt, that's around 2.6 yards per carry compared to Kenneth Walker, 4.7 yards per carry. So if Seattle decides to roll with Charbonnet over Kenneth Walker, then that plays a little bit more into Houston's favor on what they could do against the Seattle Seahawks on Monday night. Now, what can absolutely happen? What's the last thing we want to see from Houston this upcoming Monday night as they get ready to take on the Seattle Seahawks? So we'll talk about that before we close today's show. But before that conversation, Texan fans, hey, listen. After the game on Monday, Houston has, 3 games at home? Please be in the stadium on time, butts and seats, cheering on your Texan fans. And I don't want to hear about the tickets because game time is here for you. NFL season is back, baby. And honestly, there's nothing better than being in the NRG, surrounded by fans, cheering on your Houston Texans. Let's be honest. I understand tickets can be a hassle. You got queues, login screens, which is extremely frustrating. Prices jumping at checkout. I understand how it gets. That's why I'm telling you guys about Game Time. I love Game Time, and I love the app even more. It's very simple to use. The app gives you the advantage back to you. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, it's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase, which should be a Texans ticket. They need you, Texan fans. I want to see y'all at the stadium, and you can do that with Game Time. Hey, Coach, man, what's been working for you guys in those 2 wins? Talk to me.
The things that worked the past couple of weeks offensively is just us being able to stay committed to the run game and run the football. You can run the ball, you can sustain drives. That's the key. And that'll be the key for us moving forward. We can do that. We can control the line of scrimmage, get positive plays in the running game. That allows Calen, right, to be able to open up the playbook and call whatever he wants, whatever he's installed that particular week. Everything is at his disposal when you can stay on schedule, and that's what it's been the past 2 weeks.
Seattle's been they're by far the number one team in the league. Play action pass.
Yeah. Credit to DeMeco Ryans for, I think that's something we should shout him out for, saying Nick Haley's name specifically for his play calling in the last couple of weeks, and he's absolutely right. When Houston has been able to run the ball, and I think I also want to have an extension of that by saying just getting the running backs involved all together, back-to-back 100-yard games for the Houston Texans. I think that's important. And also look at how they've been able to kind of have somewhat of an imprint out of the backfield, more so Woody Marks. And DeMeco Ryans said before, hey, listen, depending on the week, depending on the team, depending on the game plan, that's who we'll see a little bit more when they look at rotating the running backs. And I do think this week it would be advantageous for Woody Marks to get some of those choice routes out of the backfield. We know what he can do with the ball in his hands in terms of yak yards. So he can take a catch that's 3 yards and turn it into 6. He can take a catch of 4 yards and turn it into 9. But I do think that in some ways possible. I don't know if it's going to be the screen game specifically. This year, Seattle hasn't really necessarily let the screen game hurt them a lot. 21 yards, 15 yards, 21 yards. They do have back-to-back games of allowing 40 or more yards from screens and 2 first downs, 3 first downs. But then you go back to their last game, 14 yards against Jacksonville. Screen game isn't necessarily hurting anybody in the NFL right now. But what you can hope that it can do for Houston is just keep drives alive. That's important. Keeping the drives alive, keeping that time of possession in favor of Houston. And also that just keeps the ball out of Sam Darnold's hand. And if the ball is out of Sam Darnold's hand, then the ball is out of JSN hands. And if the ball is out of JSN hands, then that leads us back to what cannot happen. Those explosive plays from JSN. I mean, there's not a receiver in the NFL playing better than him right now. I'm not saying he's the best receiver in the league. But right now, there is not a receiver. Maybe Puka Nacua, but he's hurt now. Speedy recovery to him, and Houston had to see him to kick off week 1. But ain't a receiver in the league touching JSN right now. He can't be the reason why Houston lose. He cannot go forward. Let's look at some of JSN's numbers. Let's just look at the game log for JSN, who is currently right now 4 yards away from 700 yards in 6 games. 3 TDs, a long of 61 yards, averaging 116 receiving yards per game, 30 first downs for that offense, 158 yak yards, right? 13 big plays. Let's go look at his game log. He's been an absolutely game wrecker for the Seattle team. Week 1 against San Fran, 124. The next week, 103. The next week, 96. The next week, okay, just in his case, just a pedestrian 79. And then you look at what he did against Tampa Bay. That was an electric game, 132. Last week against the Jags, 162. Yeah, he cannot. If Houston can hold him to 80 or under yards, I think that's a good day. I think that's a very good day. Again, I kind of go back to, how can Houston go about containing him? Because that's all I'm going to say is containing. Do they double him with Kamari and the safety over the top? Do they trust? Because Houston runs a lot of cover 3. Do they trust Derek Stingley to just go ahead and cover 3 him or cover 4? And you test your luck with that, right? He can't be the reason why this game gets out of hand. He's probably going to leave an impact. Sometimes that's inevitable. He has 30 first downs on the year. He's going to leave an impact. But 150 is something that we see that number. It was a bad day for the defense. Also, you talk about receivers getting involved in the quarterback play and all of that. CJ Stroud, who I think has to be elite. We can't sugarcoat it. We love CJ, especially here on the Locked On Texans podcast. CJ Stroud has to be elite. In order for him to be elite, CJ Stroud cannot hold on to the ball for a long period of time. Not at all. And I gave you guys some numbers on how good Dalton Schultz has been for Houston on first and third down. Yeah, that needs to continue. Right? There's nothing wrong with getting 3 or 4 yards on that first down attempt. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. You look at Nick Caley. I also mentioned, hey, they got to deploy more bodies around the line of scrimmage. Get Blake Fish out there. Brendan Bates, who I think, played some good football for Houston last week, also caught 2 touchdowns. Dalton Schultz, an underrated part of his game this year, has been his willingness to be aggressive while blocking. Like, everybody up front is going to be called upon to give CJ Stroud time, no doubt about it. But even with that time, the perfect play ain't going to always be there. CJ going to have to throw some of these guys open. CJ going to have to drop it in a bucket on some of these routes. CJ is going to have to make sure that the accuracy is the accuracy that we know he can, provide for Houston. Right? So he cannot hold on to the ball. And I'm also going to add this. DeMeco Ryans talked about the second level being compromised in terms of play action for how Seattle's been running the play action, how you can compromise the linebacker unit. Is this a game where we see Christian Kirk really have an impact and leave his imprint on the game? Like, he came back against the Jags, all right, knock some rust off. I get it. The next game was against Tennessee. And in that game, we look at Christian Kirk's Tennessee, he had 20 yards. Okay, boom, against Baltimore, 4 for 4, 64 yards, 16 yards per catch with a long catch of 47. All right, Houston's going to need that. Houston is definitely going to need that because who's going to be lined up on them? And how can Nick Caley find a way to get Christian Kirk lined up on a weaker defender for the Seattle Seahawks? So what can happen? JSN cannot be the reason this game gets out of hand. CJ Stroud cannot hold on to the ball excessively too long. Cannot hold on to the ball too long excessively. Sorry. And what cannot happen is dismissing Christian Kirk from this game plan. He has to be involved in this game plan. Right now, he's a second best in terms of experience receiver on his team. He got to get the ball in his hands. Thank you guys for watching today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, give me a follow on Twitter at John_Hickman12. Until next time, ladies and gents, Texas fans across the nation, please be sure you guys are at home in the NRG Stadium when they get back to Houston. Peace.